Let's talk about Sugar Hill. This is another one of my gotta watch it at least once a year horror movies. And that's one of the reasons why, because of the shit talking and the extreme racism present in the movie. The plot synopsis reads as follows. When her boyfriend is murdered by gangsters, Sugar Hill decides not to get mad, but bad. She entreats voodoo queen Mama Maitresse to call on Baron Samedi, Lord of the Dead, for help with a gruesome revenge. In exchange for Sugar's soul, the Dark Master raises up a zombie army to do her bidding. The bad guys who think they got away clean are about to find out they're dead wrong. Sounds like a winner to me. Let's talk about the Baron Samedi character. I really like how they used this character because I feel like he's really underused. I think we've seen Baron Samedi only well, in my experience, I think they used him in American Horror Story, Coven, The Princess and the Frog. There's a Baron Samedi character. And also, I don't know if you guys remember this VHS game that was out back in the 90s. It was called Nightmare. And you would put the VHS tape in. It was a board game. And one of the playing pieces was Baron Samedi. I remember another playing piece was Elizabeth Bathory. I can't remember what the other two playing pieces were. I think Vlad the Impaler was one, but I can't remember I can't remember the fourth piece. But I've always liked that character, Baron Samedi. I'm definitely going to do my Googles on him and find out more about him. I really like the design of the zombies in this, and mind you, I'm not a zombie movie fan. I don't like modern zombie movies. I'm not into The Walking Dead. I've tried to watch The Walking Dead. Bores me to tears. I'm not into like 28 Days Later, or I guess that is technically an infection film, but I don't like modern zombies. And as I was watching this, I finally realized what it is about the zombie movies of today that I don't like. It's the fact that they don't play up the living dead part. And what I mean by that is we never see them come up out of the ground, out of the grave. That's one of my favorite things about classic zombie movies. Movies like, was it Lamberto Bava that did Zombie? I'll correct myself somewhere on here if I'm saying the wrong director, but Zombie. I like that one. I like Burial Ground. I like Return to Living Dead. And like I said, some of my favorite parts of that is visually seeing the zombies coming up out of the grave. If you don't have that in your zombie movie, I'm not interested. In this, there is a great rising from the grave zombie scene. I was in the middle of saying how much I like the design of the zombies. Because the eyes make no sense, but I still like how they looked. They kind of reminded me of, there was a 1930s zombie movie, and I was looking for it, that I believe it had the same type of eyes that looked like, it had zombie eyes that looked like they were golf balls. And if somebody knows what movie that is, please let me know, because I tried to look it up, and at first I thought maybe it was I Walked with a Zombie, but I don't think that's it. And then I looked up White Zombie, and I don't think that's it either. But if you know what 1930s or might have been 1940s movie had zombies in it that had eyes that look like half golf balls, please let me know in the comments what movie that is. Overall, this is one of my favorite 1970s horror movies. I love the character of Sugar and how it's really a revenge film at its core. And I love how she enacted her revenge on each one of the mobsters and the gangsters. And the racist gangster girlfriend, she was crazy. When she said, "You didn't even introduce me to that n***," I died. I'm like, people, who talks like this? This is not real. This is not real life. But Unfortunately, it is real life sometimes. But anyways, like I always say, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. Just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Did you see Sugar Hill? How many times have you seen Sugar Hill? And let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Now you know JD's Revenge goes perfectly with Sugar Hill. That is a 2-4 that you have to see. That is a double feature that is meant to be. Oh, that rhymed. Mixtape dropping soon. I would drop my SoundCloud link in the bottom. Just kidding, I don't rap. So, the synopsis of this movie reads as follows. A mild-mannered law student named Isaac is possessed by the spirit of a 1940s gangster. That's it. There it is. See how simple a premise can be? You don't have to go through all these multi-layered, doing too much ass movies. Just come up with a simple premise and stick to it. This actually stars Glenn Turman, and I remember him from a lot of 80s TV shows. I want to say that was not him in Frank's Place. I always confuse the guy from Frank's Place with Glenn Turman. They don't even look that much alike, but I don't know why I confused them. But most recently, he's popped up in The Chi. This also has Louis Gossett Jr. in it, and I was expecting to see a young Louis Gossett Jr., but apparently that doesn't exist. He is like Samuel L. Jackson and Danny Glover, and apparently they've been 40 years old their whole lives. I'm just kidding. He didn't look a day over 30. Interestingly enough, he actually was 40 years old when he played the character in this movie. I like how they introduced the possession aspect of it. Basically, one night Isaac and his friends go out to go see a psychic show, and the psychic calls him on stage and he is hypnotized, and that's when he is left open to be possessed by JD's ghost. And every time I say the word hypnotized, I can't stop thinking of the Lil Boozy interview. Now they are hypnotized with hate. Anyway, the hypnotism opened him up to be possessed by the spirit of J.D. Walker, a 1940s gangster. This movie is slow at times, but the dialogue is everything. For example, that's the best I ever had. That's because you fucking with an ace. I'm gonna start using that anytime I do something really impressive and someone compliments me. I'm gonna start saying, that's because you were with an ace. Also, when this one dude walks in and he thinks his girlfriend's cheating on him, which she is, and he says, "You got someone with you, bitch." I don't know why. These are so funny to me, but they are. There's a bit of a mystery that unfolds as the movie progresses, and that turned out to be pretty interesting. The movie wraps up the mystery very nicely. This takes place in New Orleans, which is always a great setting and backdrop for horror movies. Well, any movie, come to think of it. The soundtrack and the score were very good. There's very little in the way of any special effects or gore. I mean, there is a scene in a meat packing plant, but I don't really consider it gore because, I mean, before the meat comes to your table, it is obviously cut up by someone. There's a scene of meat being cut and blood coming out of the meat, but I don't really consider that gore too much. There's a good throat slashing that actually looked pretty well done, except for the color of the blood. That always bothers me when they choose to go with a bright red. It just takes me out of the moment. If the blood looks too orangey red, I hate that. But the actual slash mark, very well done. Again, JD's Revenge, classic movie. Unfortunately, this was the first year that I ever saw it. I mean, like I said earlier, I watch Sugar Hill every year, I watch Abby every year. I had not seen JD's Revenge, and I was really sleeping on that. If you've seen JD's Revenge, please let me know how you felt about it. But like I always say, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. And just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Let me know in the comments what you think of JD's Revenge.
Hey, Whitey, you and your punk friends killed my man.
You know, you got one of the prettiest asses in town. I'd sure hate to see it kicked in for accusing people.
I'm not accusing you, honk. I'm passing sentence.
You ain't reading me, are you?
And the sentence is death.